Come on in, everybody. It's time for the Southern Route. So, what's the Southern Route all about? Well, it's about Southern stuff. Southern people, Southern music, Southern food, Southern nights, Southern traditions, nostalgia, and so much more. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Southern Route. I'm your host, Shannon Currier. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome in. I'm so happy you are here. If you are already familiar with the Southern Route, welcome back. Happy to have everybody here this week. So, here on the Southern Route, I like to share some of my favorite things, my favorite people, my favorite places. I like to share people's stories, and I like to introduce you to fun and interesting people that I know and that I meet along life's journey. So, anybody that knows me knows I love country music and I love to dance. So, if you don't know me, I'm Shannon Currier, and I love country music and I love to dance. As a matter of fact, I dance every Thursday night at the most amazing dance hall slash bar in the South. It's located right here in my town, Wetumpka, Alabama. So, what is this awesome dance hall, you ask, for those of you that love to dance like I do? It's called Alabama's Little Bit of Texas. And this week, I'm talking with my friend and owner of Alabama's Little Bit of Texas, Freddie Lovern. Freddie has been in the country music business for 30 plus years. He's a singer, he's a musician, he's a storyteller, and he's a successful business owner. And Freddie is going to share some stories about his time in the country music business, along with how Alabama's Little Bit of Texas came to be. All right, so I'm here this week sitting. If anybody knows me and has listened, they know that I live in this little town called Wetumpka, Alabama, outside Montgomery, Alabama, about an hour and a half south of Birmingham, Alabama. And if you know me at all, you know I love to dance. And so I come every Thursday night to this awesome little club called Alabama's Little Bit of Texas. And that's where I am today. And I'm talking with the owner, Freddie Lovern. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
All right, Freddie Lovern. And it's Freddie Lovern and the Heading South Band, even though the band isn't here with us today. He's got a great team. So Freddie has been around in the music business, in the country music business, for a lot of years. Band was formed in what, 1993?
92, 93, yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you spent a lot of years on the road. Tell me about that.
17 to 20 years on the road living in a bus. But, we traveled all over the United States.
Now you've been out of the country too.
Oh, yeah. In 2000, we did a lot of shows in Europe, Norway, Germany. We did 5 television shows in Germany and Russia.
Wow.
Yeah.
They love country music even up
They
there,
love,
huh?
they love country music in Europe.
Who doesn't love country music? Everybody's got a little bit of country music in them, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
You know?
Yeah.
So tell me about the guys that are in the band with you. How did y'all get started? How'd y'all get to know each other? How'd you meet?
Well, let's see. I've actually had the same people in this band. Well, one of them for sure since '92. Bill Gordy, he's from Tallahassee, Florida. We picked him up in Tallahassee, Florida on a bus in 1992, and he never got off.
He just hitchhiked and you
He
picked him up
never,
and off you went.
he never got off, and he's still on the bus. And yeah, he plays with us every Friday night. He's been with me the longest. And then the next one, the next one would be probably Roger Schofield. He's actually what was an original member with Mark Chestnut's band.
Okay.
And he's been with me the next longest, and he's been with me since probably 97, 96, 97. And then Laney Nichols has been with me since 2020, about, yeah, about 2000. So the whole band's been with me a very long time. And that's the band we have here on Friday and Saturday night. It's a house band here.
Okay. So you've been playing together a long time. You
Very
know the
long
ins
time.
and outs. Y'all apparently get along pretty well.
We get along great. Actually the steel player, I just forgot, we hired him back. Don Lynch has been with me since '92, because he
Wow.
brought a newspaper article in here the other night from 1992, and I didn't even know, I had forgot he's been with me since '92. So
Wow.
he's back with us again. He's played on and off with me for since '92. So he's
Very
back.
cool. So tell us about the style. We know it's country music, but
It's heavy Texas swing. If you listen to our second album, A Town of Fewer People, you'll see there's a heavy Texas influence. First album was one of well, the very first one was called Once an Angel, and that was our big song over in Europe, Once an Angel, and that one hit #1 over there, and that was heavy influenced by Emmylou Harris and those Waylon Jennings, those kind of artists. So that music has a tendency to flow in that direction, that standard straight up country.
traditional country.
That album was traditional country, and we did very well with that.
It seems to be coming back. I mean, I know country has ebbed and flowed and weaved in and out of what people think country music should sound like,
Yeah,
and I personally, I like all of it because I like
yeah,
all genres of music. So
right.
I can relate to all of it. But I know people love that traditional country sound, and that does seem to be coming back a little bit with some of the newer artists coming in. So that's kind of exciting to hear. And that's what's
Yeah,
so fun to dance to,
yeah, it's fun.
you know?
We have those artists. We still have those '90s artists that come in here. Come to Alabama's a little bit of Texas here, and so we've had T. Graham Brown here. We've had Doug Stone, Kentucky Headhunters, Confederate Railroad. All those acts are mostly from the '90s,
Yep.
and that seems to be where our crowd loves to come to hear those kind of acts.
Well, people, when they come here, they want to dance.
They want to
They're not
dance.
just hanging around, they want to dance.
That's
So
that's exactly
that's
right.
that 90s country sound. That's
That's
what's
what we
easy to
do.
dance
That's
to.
what we do.
That's what I grew up dancing to. My husband and I have been dancing since, gosh, 1995. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been couple dancing. So that's what we're used to dancing to is that, Now I love the new stuff too. I mean, I can get on with church clap even though I need a oxygen tank when I get going, but
Yeah, that one wears me out too.
it's pretty exhausting, but
Yeah.
yeah. So you started playing the guitar at age 6. I'm assuming these people you've mentioned have been influencers along the
Yeah, well,
way.
I was raised with those, Emmylou Harris is a cousin of mine, so I was heavily influenced on that direction with when her band was called the Hot Band back in the day, and it was a hot band. That was some of the greatest artists ever, and then that's how I went on from that from listening to her was from to the Rodney Crowells, and and then I just kind of graduated to the Vince Gills back in the day, and that was my heavy influence. And then when I was touring in the early '90s, we back then you toured, you had to play. There was no shows, TV shows to go
Mhm.
jump on and try to get famous. You had to literally go out there and play. And also back then the record companies were also going out to the venues, the A&R people going to the venue where these bands were and these groups were, and they were hearing these artists, and that's how you got a record deal back then.
True.
And now it's not that way, but back in those days, that's how it worked.
There's people still out there, of course, 6 days a week working it, trying to make those
It's tough.
chips
It's
and
tough because there's no more 6 night a week um, uh, gigs or venues anymore. So these younger people, they don't really tour like that anymore. They try to get on these TV shows and all that stuff, and to get to the next point or the next level where they want to be and get discovered in that direction. But we back in my day, we were playing 6 nights a week. We were doing, you know, 38, 45, 46 weeks a year,
oh my goodness.
living in a bus, and we didn't know any other way to do it. We just traveled all over. We'd be in, you know, Fort Lauderdale, one Saturday night, and then Tuesday would be end up in Wisconsin somewhere. So we travel that way. And you started on Tuesday nights there then,
Okay.
and so you got to play Tuesday through Saturday, and then you had about 2 days to go to the next job. Now they don't do that. Now I doubt seriously if you could ever do that anymore at this point. But that's how we did it, and we did. That's how we thought we were supposed to do it. So we all lived in the bus, and I've got the same people that you get attached to people and you hate changes, and I hate
Right.
change. So but like I said, we gravitated toward Fort Worth, and we were based out of at first we were based out of Nashville, and we lived in Nashville. I lived in Nashville in a hotel for 2 years, and then
Wow.
we would go out and play, go back to Nashville, go and play, go out and play, go back to Nashville, and then we moved our home base to Fort Worth, Texas, and we worked out of Fort Worth for the rest of that. A lot of those years I can't remember. It's probably in '96 we moved to Nashville. I mean to Fort Worth, and we based out of Fort Worth, and we were traveling the same jobs, but we
Right.
were just based out of Fort Worth. And
Okay.
then in '94, yeah, before that in '94, I had two voice operations in '94. So I lost my voice over in Georgia one night, and we'd been singing for years and years, and I was singing about 60 songs a night, 6 nights a week. And then in '94 in Georgia one night, it just went away.
You wore your vocal cords
I
out.
wore my vocal cords out, so I had two operations at Vanderbilt and Nashville.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and so at the time, I had just got a record deal, so they put me on the shelf then,
Ah,
and I lost. So it took 6 months to recover from the first operation. Then you had to wait, and you did another I had two operations in '94 and '95. So I was we were in trouble. I mean, we just stopped everything in '94, and then once my voice operation was over with, then they did a great job up in Nashville, Vanderbilt. And then after that, we started back, and we just started right back where we left off. It's just a year and a half, almost 2 years, I would say, that we just couldn't.
of
I couldn't
recovery.
even talk.
Oh my goodness.
So I didn't speak a sound for a long time.
That had to be very difficult for
Very
somebody who
frustrating.
loves music and sings
Very
and
frustrating. But I did what the doctor said, and got my voice back, even better than it was actually.
okay, well, let's take a quick break. I've got to jump out and hear some sponsor information. So we'll be right back here on tncradio.live. I'm your host, Shannon Courier. We are here on the Southern Route with Freddie Lovern from Alabama's Little Bit of Texas here in Wetumpka, Alabama. We'll be right back to continue the story.
Hey, rideshare drivers and gig economy workers, the host of TNCRadio.live, the Rideshare Rodeo Podcast, and the Gig Economy Podcast come together for news, talk, music, stories, laughs, and more. We're live Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on TNCRadio.live.
I'm Hope Savara. Join us on tncradio.live at 7 p.m. Eastern with Building Strong Minds with your host, Dr. Christopher Cortman.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. According to some polls, 1 out of 3 human beings describe themselves as chronic worriers. That is, you could walk up to them any time of the day and say, "What are you worried about?" And they'll tell you, because if they're awake, they're worrying. Why do people worry? And what do we get from worry? That so many people worry chronically. Well, worry is pseudo-control. It helps us to feel like we're controlling something that we otherwise are powerless over. Let me tell you a true story. A young man leaves on Thanksgiving weekend to head back to his university in Pittsburgh. His mother in Florida states, "Son, I don't want you to go. The weather is terrible outside. Please don't leave." And the son smiles and says, "Mom, the plane's taking off. They're going to go with or without me." So before the son leaves, the mother says, "Honey, do me one favor at least. When you land in Pittsburgh, call me." He says, "Sure, Mom." So for the next 3.5 hours, this poor woman is pacing the house. She puts on the Weather Channel and she watches a giant H take over the screen. And she doesn't know what she's watching, and she shuts that off. and she has a drink of wine and maybe a second glass, and then she says, "What am I doing? Getting drunk while my poor son is crashing to death?" She tries to lay down and sleep, but then she tells herself the same thing, that this is not a good thing for her to do if her poor son is flying in terrible weather. She prays to God and she says, "Lord, take this from me." And then 5 minutes later, she says, "Lord, give me that back." She needs to worry because it helps her feel like she has some control. Hours later, the phone rings and she answers the phone and she says, "Hello, hello." And her son says, "Mom, I just want you to know I made it." And she says, "Oh, I did it. I did it." Somehow in the mind of a worrier is the belief that my actions of worrying tend to bring positive outcomes. So you know what she's going to do the next time there's a flight in inclement weather? She's going to worry again. Do you want to know what the antidote is for worrying? Tune in to the next Mental Health Minute.
Okay, guys and gals, we are back to continue our conversation, not our phone conversation, our conversation with Freddie Lovern of Alabama's Little Bit of Texas. I am tongue-tied today. We're sharing Freddie's story. Freddie, you just got finished telling us about having to have two surgeries on your vocal cords and having a record deal and kind of being shelved after that. And tell us what happened. Continue with the story on where things went from there.
And we went right back, and then we went right back to the studio and recorded Town of Fewer People. And that's where all the we had John Huey on steel, who played with Vince Gill for many, many years, did all that pretty Vince Gill stuff. So John was on steel, and we did the Town of Fewer People album.
Town of Fewer People. Are y'all listening? If you haven't looked it up, go look it up.
It was a great album. It was it did good for us.
Good. So tell me what's your favorite thing about living on the road?
Ooh,
Do you have a favorite thing?
At the time, I thought it was fun, but oh Lord, at the time, living on the road was just the way to do it, and it was such camaraderie, and it's just a wonderful. You just really do. It's just a different way of life. Now they don't have that. They don't get to do that.
Yeah.
And it was tough. It was tough because you have to sacrifice a lot of stuff living on the road. Sacrifice. You're always chasing a record deal back then. Now you don't. It's not the same. But when I started, we were hawking cassette tapes out of a back of a pickup truck, and then when I stopped touring, it was CDs. And then now, there was no cell phones on the road. We didn't have a Google. We didn't have a cell phone with we had to use what you call an atlas.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how much we've seen?
And then we had to stop at this thing they used to call a payphone.
Yeah.
And
you had to have change.
And we'd stop at this thing called a payphone, and you'd call, and that's how you did it.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a cell phone. We stayed lost all the time, and and
lots of wrong turns and backtracking.
There was no cell phone. There was a pay phone. You had to get off and get out of the bus and go walk somewhere to find a pay phone. They were pretty plentiful back then.
That's true. That's true.
But then in the 2000, we went to Europe, and I went to Europe and did some shows over there in Europe.
So, what's your favorite place to play? Do you have like a favorite location or a favorite city that really stuck with you?
What now?
Like a favorite location or a favorite city that stuck with you when you were touring?
I'm from Wetumpka, Alabama. I was born and raised here. My family's from here. I love playing here. One of my favorite places to play is out in Texas, anywhere, because the appreciation is just so wonderful. And then also, when you go over to Europe, the appreciation of traditional country music in Europe, the Europeans love it, and they really have a wonderful appreciation for country music over there. But I love Texas. I love to play in Texas because it's a we're a Texas dance hall stuck in Alabama, so to speak.
Yes.
So that's the influence for us is having a little bit of that's the whole point, a little bit of Texas in Alabama, and so that's why I'm here. I moved back home out of Fort Worth to my hometown. Both of my parents were sick at that time, and I had to come home and luckily all the band members wanted to come with me.
Oh, wow.
So Roger Scoofa, who's the one I was telling you about earlier, was with Mark Chestnut. He had already been left Mark Chestnut, and he came with me, and he moved from Texas to here. And then Bill Gordy, the piano player that we picked up in '92 from Tallahassee, Florida, he was living in Phoenix, Arizona, and he moved here to play music here with us.
Wow.
So they came back.
So
Because they hate change.
Oh, yeah, everybody had to come together. That's
Nobody
right.
likes
That's
change.
right.
Nobody likes change.
So that's the reason you decided to open this. You were coming back home to take care of your parents and
Mhm.
decided you wanted to bring some Texas with you back home.
Right, because we got here, there was no venues,
That's
and there's
correct.
still no country venues in the state.
Correct. Yeah.
And I got here and I opened up a little bit of Texas First in Eclectic, Alabama.
Yep.
And we stayed there a few years. It just wasn't big enough. And
I remember we used to come out there and
It-
dance. That's
it-
when I started dancing with
right,
you out there.
I wanted a venue that I could bring shows in.
Yeah.
And so Wetumpka was my hometown really. So they had this building that we're sitting in now, which was built in '57, which was an Alabama National Guard building. And it had been sitting here vacant probably 15 or 16 years when I got it. When we talked to the mayor about this and he said, yeah, it's just sitting there vacant. And between the city and what we put together, it took us 3 years to build it. One of those years was COVID.
Yes,
And
because I remember when you shut down out there in Eclectic to relocate over here, and then bam, COVID hit, and it was like, oh my gosh.
2 weeks before we were supposed to open, COVID hit. So now we're locked in for another 12 months. Couldn't open, and people were going nuts. What's going on?
Yeah.
But you can't. This venue is too big to open for just a handful of people.
Yeah.
It wouldn't do us any good. So we ended up having to wait another 12 months, and it's been really good so far. We're
Well, I
excited
know,
about it.
I love,
Uh-oh. Sorry about that.
that's okay. He's a busy man, y'all.
Oh,
The
yeah.
phone rings nonstop,
Oh,
that's
it's not-
for
It's
sure.
terrible.
But I mean, I loved it out in Eclectic, but it was small and it had definitely outgrown the space because of the number of people that were coming. You know, we were packed in down there.
Yeah, we only had about seating capacity, maybe 150 at the most, and it was just a 3,500 square foot venue. Where this venue is 15,000 square feet,
Yeah.
3 bars.
I love this
Restaurant.
venue. My husband and I, we danced out in Albuquerque, New Mexico at Midnight Rodeo. That
Been
was
there
our,
many times.
love it, love it, love it.
Played there.
Love it. Love that place.
And,
And we danced there for years and love the feel of that. And that's what this reminds me
We
of.
played there. We played the Caravan
Yeah.
in Albuquerque, and one of our original drummer, Roger Turner, was from Albuquerque, and we played the Caravan a lot. And they have, and now I don't know if they're still doing it, but the Caravan, if they're still open, I don't know if they are, but they were doing a afternoon matinee band,
Oh,
and they
wow.
did that, which is very unusual to
Yes.
do a afternoon band and then do another one at night.
That's
And they were doing
cool.
that 6 nights a week back then. I'm not sure about the Caravan anymore, but we played there many. I played all over New Mexico.
I don't know if they're open either. I think Midnight Rodeo is still open, and they had
That
a
might
place
be.
called Cadillac Ranch out there
Played
too.
there.
We've been out there. Heck, we could have been out there when you were out there. Who
Probably.
even knows? You could have been playing while we were there.
I got married there one time.
What?
I got married.
That's
mean,
probably a whole different story right
That is
there.
a different story. We'll save that one.
See, I have to tell you, Alabama's a little bit of Texas here. I love this place. It's got a big, beautiful dance floor, pool tables. People can ride the bull. You've got cornhole tournaments on Tuesday nights, karaoke on Wednesday nights, free line dancing on
Yep.
Thursday nights. Fridays, couple free couple dancing.
Mhm.
Freddie and the Head and South Band play on Fridays and Saturdays. So everybody that wants to come and dance, I'm here if as long as there's nothing conflicting, I'm here every Thursday night for line dancing. We've been here several times on the weekends too. You got a great restaurant going on. You got delicious steaks and trash fries and nachos and brisket and
Buffalo now.
buffalo
We
now.
just added buffalo burgers. We also have alligator on a stick starting this week.
Oh,
We have a lot of different stuff.
new things to try. So I'm just telling you all, there's a lot going on here that you don't want to miss. If you are in Wetumpka, Alabama, or anywhere near here, you need to make a trip over. Let me know if you're coming though, so I can
Yeah.
meet you. So tell me what are your plans for a little bit from here on out? Where do you see yourself in 1 year, 5 years?
Well, we hope we can grow and keep growing and keep bringing these artists in. I'd love to get some younger artists in here if we can find them. You know, our clientele is anywhere from 32 to 82. So
Oh
that's the
yeah.
majority of our clientele is in that age bracket. And they love 90s country music here, so we're going to keep doing that. But we have some plans for some big acts coming in here that we're excited about in in the near future.
Well, I'm excited to hear about some future newer acts, but I have a feeling, Freddie, you're going to keep that close to the chest until you get some things finalized. But we definitely have a wide range of ages on Thursday nights, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that and continue our conversation after the break. We're here on TNCRadio.live. I am your host, Shannon Currier, here on the Southern Route with Freddie Lovern from Alabama's Little Bit of Texas in Wetumpka, Alabama, and we'll be right back.
Hey, what's up? This is Logan Mize, and you are listening to TNCRadio.live.
I'm Hope Savara, your host of the Driver Life Podcast, every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on TNCRadio.live.
Join Tom Kelly and the rest of the team each day on the morning grind. Then stay tuned for an encore presentation of last night's Landline Now. Weekdays on TNCRadio.live.
Trucking Moves America Forward, or TMAF, is boosting the image of the industry by telling the story of trucking, and your story can be part of it. Upload a photo, tell us what you love about trucking, or send us a story about a good deed or charitable act in trucking. Be sure to follow us on social media and contact us through truckingmovesamerica.com. That's truckingmovesamerica.com.
For the latest in rideshare and gig economy news, visit uberliftdrivers.com. That's uberliftdrivers.com.
We're back with Freddie Lovern from Alabama's Little Bit of Texas here on TNCRadio.live. I'm your host, Shannon Currier. Well, I tell you, on line dance nights, you got anywhere from 21. You got to be 21 to get in, folks. 21 to get in, but 21 all the way up to, like you say, 80. I mean, there's all age ranges here. I know on Thursday nights, because
Yeah.
I'm learning dances from the younger people. You're throwing dances out there that the young people know, and us old folks. I'm 52 this month, so
Well, we just booked. If you're a fan of The Voice
oh yeah,
and you watch the show The Voice, we just booked. He's on The Voice right now. His name is Jay Allen. He's on The Voice right now. He's booked it here New Year's Eve, and so he'll
awesome.
be here New Year's Eve. And we got some exciting news about some other artists coming in that people aren't going to believe it, but we do. And we're working on. I'm in contact with some with the CCR, if you know who that is.
Oh yes,
They have been.
that's
Well,
Creedence Clearwater Revival. For
they
those of you
they
might not
the,
know, you young folks.
the revisited version of CCR. It's some of the original members. They're out running around now doing it again. So I've been talking with
Wow.
them about getting them here. and a bunch of different acts. But we're moving on into that direction, bigger, bigger, bigger. But we still love our T. Graham Browns and all those guys. We'll have them back once a year, and we've had a lot of new acts. Sweet Tea Trio was in here, did it
Yeah.
wonderful. We're hoping to get some more different ones. Anybody out there call me that's on that level that needs a spot coming through here. We're a great place to stop off at. We're 2 miles from the casino, and we're a great routing spot.
That's true. If you're traveling to Florida area,
Mhm.
down up from Florida area, a lot of people are playing down there. Great place to
300, we're
stop.
300 miles from Nashville, south.
Yeah. Well, and I just came from last night through Atlanta. We're, 3 hours from Atlanta.
150 miles, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're not far from there either.
No.
So it's a great place to stop. Now, what do you look for when you hire people to bring in? Now, I know the big names might be something different, but if somebody local or somebody passing through that's maybe smaller trying to make a name, what are you looking for?
Well, we obviously book national acts and we have a house band. So we're booking national act, they don't have to be, we try to get acts that are been in the 90s because that's what my crowd loves. That's what our people love, that 90s stuff. But we're not opposed to going, even that what they are now as we speak. I just booked Jay Allen
Yeah.
in here for New Year's Eve. So there's one right there that normally we wouldn't pick up. But we're trying to move into all air. And also one thing is we're a Texas-based country music venue, dance hall, so to speak, but we like all kinds of music. So if you're here at night, you'll hear we play all kinds of music, anything.
I can
And
attest to that.
we stay traditionally country up to a certain time, and then we try to move it into and because we've introduced our younger people to acts that have been around since the 70s. And
Yeah.
they don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
But they come up to me all the time, Mr. Freddie, who was that? I've never heard that song before. And it was Fantastic Voyage by the Gap Band. Now, when was that? You've never heard of
70s.
that in the 70s. And they said, I never heard that. Where can I buy that at? Come on now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
you're passing down to another generation.
they have no clue.
I love it. I love to hear those 70 songs come out.
I
They're so
have
fun.
them come up to me and ask me who the artist was, and I said, well, that was Waylon Jennings, and they don't have a clue who that
Who
is.
that is. Oh my gosh. That's
So
like a
there's-
stab in the heart.
It's a teaching method. I try to play everything and just shock them if I can, and they just love it, but they never heard it before. They don't know anything about it. They don't even know
Yeah.
what CDs are. You got to remember we're already grown out of that.
I know. Well, we went from, I mean, I have at home, I have the 45s, I have the 78s, I have, the albums that had
Now
you
tell us the
open it.
truth. You got some 8 tracks.
I got some 8 tracks. I do. I have 8 tracks. I have cassettes.
Yeah.
I have CDs. And of course, now you don't need anything.
need
You just
anything.
get it on your phone.
Mm.
You don't need any kind of,
No,
physical thing to have in your hand. So
not
it's
now.
totally different. But y'all, I love this place. So in all your years in the business, what's some advice you would have for somebody trying to get into the business or somebody young that they don't have the same opportunity you did to be on the road and be in front of people the
It's
same
tough.
way? What's some advice that you have?
I guess they're doing what they can do. Is they're making these TikToks or making these videos or going on these shows. That's the new way to do it, I guess.
I guess
But I
so.
don't know. It's different. At the time we were doing it, and we just wanted to make a living at what we enjoyed doing,
Yeah.
and that's all we wanted to do. And we didn't really care about the money, but it was good to get the $100 a week back in the day. I remember when we went from 100 to $300 a week, we really thought we were doing something. And, I remember our first, we had been together it's a long time before we could get into the casino circuit. And I mean, we had been together a long time to get into the casino circuit. And once you got into that circuit back in my day, you were almost there. And then to get into the Nashville scene, back in my day, you had to almost go through the back door. And what I mean by that is you had to go to Europe first. And you go to Europe, you go from, United States to Europe and then pick up a bunch of energy, fans and stuff. And then you could almost go through the back door in Nashville. You still had to have a ton of money to get there,
Yeah.
but it was a little bit different. They actually came out and heard you then. And, so a lot of my friends that I was on the road with are, hit it big.
Yeah.
And I've got many stories I could go on and on, but one story in particular that probably is interesting, and is that we were living in Nashville. I was living in a hotel, and the booking agent was out of Orlando, Florida, and he called me up. And he said, "Can you go to Jackson, Mississippi?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can you be there Tuesday night?" I said, "Absolutely." And he said, I said, "What happened? This is kind of late in the week. It was already like Monday."
Oh,
And
wow.
he said, "Well, the guy don't like the guy that's in there." He said, he said, "Can you play Tuesday?" He didn't like him. He was supposed to stay over, and he don't like him. Can you go take his place? Can your band go take his place? I said, "Yeah, I guess so." I didn't know who it was or anything. This was back in the late '80s or whatever. So we drive all the way to Jackson, Mississippi. We end up there and we set up to play, and the owner of the club comes out there. I won't name that club. And he come out there and he says, "Ooh, I'm glad y'all were here. We just didn't like that guy they had last week. He was supposed to stay 2 weeks, and we didn't want to use him again." And I said to the club owner, I said, "What in the world was wrong?" I said, "I heard that guy was real good." He goes, "Oh, I didn't like him at all. He just he's just too country. They didn't like him." And I said, "Well, what was his name?" He said, "Alan Jackson."
Oh, God.
So there you go.
You had to come replace Alan
Yeah,
Jackson.
so we covered for that, and that's stupid. And but anyway, now look, so that's just one example. I could go on and on. It's just crazy. But that was back in
the right
it was
person hearing you at the right time, I guess,
it was
is
just
how it all
crazy.
happened.
And but he said, "Yeah, we just don't want him another week." I said, "Good Lord, come on now." But and it was a young man named Alan Jackson who went on to be.
Wow.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That is crazy.
It's
Alan
crazy.
Jackson would do well here.
Oh yeah,
It would
he just
be,
lives.
you
He's
wouldn't
in
be
he's
able to
from Midland.
get, I mean, there wouldn't be enough tickets.
No, he's, but that's just a story. Yes, we had so many stories. I can't even tell you. It just keeps on going. It's just crazy stories like that. And,
Wow.
but you did a lot of stuff back in the day. You had these roundups that you did. We did one down in Miami, Florida, and we played music down there. And we had a bus in them days, and the bus pulled right up next beside us. I think it's in South Florida somewhere. And the people that got off the bus, they go, "Well, who are those guys?" And I said, "Waylon Jennings and Robert Duvall got off the bus."
Oh my gosh.
So them days are, I don't know if those kids you asked me about today. I don't know if those kids get to have that kind of excitement like we did.
Yeah.
I remember playing in Laughlin, Nevada at the casino and getting on the elevator with a guy named Jim Neighbors and coming down to eat dinner.
Oh.
So I don't know. And I can, then we got on the elevator coming down and Ray Price was on the elevator with us. And then, 2 weeks later was in the casino and we got on the elevator going to eat dinner and it was Freddie Fender. I mean, it was crazy times, but pretty great times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they get to do that anymore.
Before we close out our show, I've got to take our final break of this week. I will be right back here on TNC Radio.live.
TNC Radio.live, your commercial driver navigation station.
Truckers Life Radio from TFC Global with your host, Ron Frazier, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. On the show, Ron interviews guests to help inform professional drivers just like you about the importance of things like human trafficking to sex addiction to how to overcome the impossible odds on the way to success. Every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Reverse Gears moved to Thursdays at 8, 7 Central on the Travel Network channel, tncradio.live. You're invited to ride through the stories of and music that made the memory makers we call the soundtrack of life at our new time, 8, 7 Central, Thursdays on tncradio.live.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry, our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
TNCRadio.live, your commercial driver navigation station.
We are back for our final segment with Freddie Lovern from Alabama's Little Bit of Texas here in my town, Wetumpka, Alabama. We have been talking a lot about Freddie's history in country music and his life as a singer and songwriter and musician and touring life and how we came to have Alabama's Little Bit of Texas here in Wetumpka. And we've been talking about what it was like 25, 30 years ago being a musician on the road versus what it looks like now. I think seems like today they're whipping all over the place and you're kind of by yourself anymore. I don't think people get together hardly even with the band like you used to record
No,
and
they
stuff. I
go
don't even think they
record
do that
with
anymore.
studio musicians, and then they pick it up
Yeah.
and do that. But
So, yeah.
we had a different lifestyle, the way to do it back in those days, and and things that we did back then probably would never be allowed now.
Yeah.
You know, some of the stuff that we did, oh my gosh, you know, it was just crazy stuff. But, you know, that's how you did it. You know, we picked up a fiddle player in Victoria, Texas one night, and he come in there to play with us. And the club owner at that club says, Freddie says, we got a fiddle player locally here. I want him to, y'all don't have a fiddle player in your band. I said, no, we don't. He goes, well, I want you to let him play tonight. And I kind of like, didn't like that idea, you know, some total stranger coming and playing. And I said, well, what's his name? He said, his name is Pat Matula. He's real good. And, and I said, okay. He said, I want you to do it. He kept saying it. I said, okay. So he gets this kid out there. He might have been 20, just a young kid. And we're living on a bus. We've been out there for years. And so the kid comes up there and he sits in with the band and we like him and he does a great job. And so Pat gets on there stage and he does a killer job. And so I said, well, I'll hire you if you want to go to work for me. And he said, yeah, I'll be right back. And he went home and got his clothes in a duffel bag and came and jumped on the bus that night.
Oh my gosh.
And his name was Pat Matula. He played with us for years and years. He's still out there playing today. He's one of the top fiddle players in the state of Texas. Another time, this is a good one here. I know you probably don't have time for all these stories.
I got time.
But we hired a little guitar player out of Vicksburg, Mississippi, and his name was Boo Massey Jr. And we flew him in. I can't remember where we were. I think we was out in Texas somewhere. I can't remember if we flew. I think we flew him in. We fly him in. He jumps on stage. First night he does a great job. And he plays with us. He stayed with us a long time. And today he plays with Miranda Lambert. He's the lead guitar player for Miranda Lambert. So
wow.
The stories go on and on and on. I mean, we had so many that came and went that played with the Head and South over all these years. And Tony George, he played with us a long time. Is one of the top writers, you know, great writer in Nashville. Wrote some hit songs for Montgomery Gentry and for other artists. He played with us. You know, I've got a list. The list just goes on, and they'll go on. I've seen them go on TV. I saw Tony go on TV and say they asked him his first road band. He said Head and South.
Oh,
that was the
that's
very
cool.
first road band.
That's
So
cool.
it's a great compliment to the Head and South program, and and you know, and our band, that it's a great compliment to have those guys. They were younger than us when they joined us. They left us and went on to do something, and I'm very proud of them. They've done an excellent job, you know, like Boo Massey, and you know, Tony's done great with his songwriting, and the list is, and Pat's still playing fill some of the greats. You know, those guys were with Head and South, and they still call me today. I mean, we still talk today via whether it's email or whatever. But you know, I guess I was one of the oldest ones out there. We stayed out there a long time and
Yeah.
just kept doing what we wanted to do. We
Right.
really didn't chase record deals too much. We just wanted to do what we wanted to. All of us had the same mindset. We
Yeah.
just wanted to do what we wanted to do.
And if it worked out, it worked out.
If it worked out, it worked out.
Well, and look now, I mean, that, you know, you might not have been the big superstar that you thought you wanted to be or at the
No.
time, but you know, you've got this awesome Alabama's a little bit of Texas. This place is awesome, and you've got a great, successful business for you, for this community.
Oh,
You know,
well,
I know
thank
you
you.
give back to this community in ways as well.
Yeah, we done a lot. We've hung in there. Good,
Yeah.
thank the good Lord.
Well, I'll tell y'all, if you're ever coming through Wetumpka, Alabama, you've got to make a stop at Alabama's Little Bit of Texas. It's not hard to find right here on 231. You've got a great big beautiful sign out there with the state of Texas on it. But everybody probably loves some Texas, but we love it here in Alabama. And thank you for bringing this here.
You're very
I'm
welcome.
loving it. I know, you know, we've got a group that comes here, and you know, we dance here, and we've got some great instructors for the line dance folks, and you've got you know, Leo Stacks and Sherry Atkins do the line dancing, friends of mine, and we've got you let us use your name on shirts when we go to events and stuff. You know, we're a little bit of Texas dance crew out here, and then you've got a great couple that's teaching on Friday nights that's very well known
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
they do a great job.
So seeing a lot of success there too. So you're really putting a lot of things out there to draw a lot of people in, different ages as well. And I think that's awesome because I love to see different ages melding together. There's so much to learn from younger people. Younger people have a whole lot to learn from older people that have been around and have some wisdom, and it's a lot of fun here. So well, I appreciate your time
Oh,
today. I know
I
that the
enjoyed it.
phone, I'm sure, keeps ringing,
I
and I
know.
know there's people here in line waiting to talk to you. So I appreciate your time today.
No problem. We had a great time. Thank you so much.
All right. See you soon.
All right.
Well, it was great spending a little time with my friend Freddie Lovern today, leader of the Headin' South Band and owner of Alabama's Little Bit of Texas here in Wetumpka, Alabama. If you are ever heading this way and would like to enjoy some great country music and some a great band on the weekends, we would love for you to stop by. We are right here on 231 in Wetumpka, Alabama. Always something going on here, and follow Alabama's Little Bit of Texas on Facebook and on TikTok as well. There's always information about what is going on each night of the week, food specials, steak specials, when concerts are coming. We're also going to have a special night for Halloween. There's going to be a Halloween costume contest on October 31st. So if you're in the area, you might want to participate in that. It's going to be a fun night. Appreciate you all listening in this week, and I want to thank Freddie again for his time and for sharing some of his story along the way. I love country music, and it's always interesting to hear people's journeys trying to break into country music and music of any kind, to be honest with you. It's not an easy thing to do, and I'm sure it's a tiring life, and they spend a lot of time out on the road, especially early in their careers, and kind of akens back to truck drivers. You know, they're similar type of lifestyle, living on a bus, not living on a truck, but living on a bus. And you all probably, if you're truck drivers out there, you probably cross paths with a lot of country music artists and music artists of any genre, to be honest with you. So thank you for joining me again this week. I hope you have a fantastic week. Say something kind to somebody this week, shake somebody's hand, make a new friend, say an encouraging word, and you all be safe out there, and we'll see you next week on tncradio.live. I am Shannon Currier. We'll see you back on the Southern Route, and be sure and pop over and find all of our other shows listed as podcasts on your favorite podcast platform. Talk to you next week.
do you have the TNCRadio.live app? It's free and easy to download. Just go to app.tncradio.live, Google Play, or the App Store. Get access to live streaming radio developed by drivers for drivers. Download the TNCRadio.live app today.
Don't forget, you can hear all of our TNC Radio primetime shows again on our podcasts. Just go to tncradio.live/podcasts or search for tncradio.live wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Shelley Johnson with Kathy Tuccaro. You can hear us Tuesdays on tncradio.live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Women Road Warriors. And don't miss Steve Summers' Overnight Drive right here on tncradio.live, weeknights midnight to 5 a.m. Eastern. Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.